Good day, everyone, and thank you for panelists for making it to the panel. Uh, I hope you have had a good day and had lunch. Yeah, you too. Right, so this panel today is actually about legal tech and how different representations from law firm to legal tech companies and Mr. Damodaran, who's worked across multiple organizations from making a legal tech product all the way to selling it, and finally now practicing law firm as well. So from these diverse perspectives, we are just going to have a conversation about how legal tech is moving forward and how different narratives are shaping it as well. So thank you very much for joining us today. So I'll start first with you, Komal ma'am, as how change management, right from adoption of legal tech all the way to its provision through the law firm works.
So I think change management is a very big, massive project, very, very big piece of work of execution.
Right.
And it has to be thought through very carefully. The planning has to be done before the implementation.
Mm-hmm.
And there are lots of factors that need to be kept in mind. You know, what is your existing culture? What do people want? What are you trying to achieve? What is the change that you want to bring? And how, is it going to impact people? You think it's a great change. You think that it is going to bring in a lot of, positivity or a lot of maybe increase your profitability or increase people's work-life balance, will make life easy, say for your own lawyers. But how do you explain it to them? Because when you are bringing about any kind of change, big or small, change just makes people uncomfortable. So, how do you deal with that? How do you keep making changes and yet not let people feel that there's a big change happening? And slowly they just become a part of your journey and they don't even realize that the change has happened, and then they start appreciating the change already and they become your champions. So your question, how does that happen? It's a lot of deep study into the culture, into the needs of the people, and into what your exact purpose is, what you want to achieve, and then you chalk out an execution plan. A lot of communication, a lot of training, a lot of reiterations, lots and lots of champions from within the group of people where you want to bring the change, and lots of examples of that change, So if you have the proof of concept, change management just becomes easy. To sum it up, it's a very difficult job, and can really give bad results if executed badly. So requires a lot of thinking and planning before jumping into bringing a change.
That is commendable from the perspective that it makes a lot of change happen, but at the same time, the bravery that's required to go through it, and and the wit to keep it all together.
Yeah, and it is not that you will keep getting rewards for
Yeah.
doing it. You have to go through the pain yourself. So you can't be giving grief to others while you are trying to bring about the change. You go through the pain yourself.
Absolutely. So, Ravi said this is from the law firm perspective as somebody who has implemented technology in your law firm. And what are the challenges that you saw which came to you?
See, the biggest challenge is buy-in. And the change management is essential, and what you need is a buy-in from your partners, your team, to understand how the change or the technology will benefit you. Most of the time, like, it's a chicken and egg situation where the lawyers are needing time to manage their affairs, and they don't take out time to manage their affairs. And when technology is out there to help you, they get into it, they try looking at it, but give it up very fast. The pressures of client matters and other things really, pull them back and say, oh, this what is working, why change that? And they don't realize that how much a difference it could make in their own, working manner if they do adopt the technology or do adopt the change. But you're constantly struggling, and the senior the partners, the senior the team members, that's where the resistance comes, nothing, it won't make any help. So that's where you keep struggling. And that's what could make a project fail or pass. We've done quite a few projects on the technology side. Some of them were successful, where we were able to make them understand the proof of concept, like how it will make a difference for them. And the others, they simply didn't spend time on it, and then they felt that it was not worth it.
This is something which is very curious from the perspective of those who are not able to jump very quickly. So how do you handle that narrative?
See, you have to identify who could be your leaders for that project, who are already showing success, and they're utilizing the new tool which has been provided to them, and then also recognize who are the guys who are having a problem. And what you need to really do is try and understand why they are hesitating, what's their limitation. Sometimes what you're trying to do is trying to train a partner in new technology, which would be really difficult. But what you really need is, when you're using technology, the down the line guys, the senior associates, the secretaries, who would be the main guys who would be doing the maximum weightlifting, get them involved. Instead of trying to get the partner to lead it, get those people to lead it and bring in the partner where he can add value.
Okay.
I think that's where the change occurs the best.
That's a very insightful thought. So I'll take it over to Tushar, sir. So Tushar, now you are that component which brings the solution to solve the problem. So what has been your experience in how legal tech is being perceived and adopted in different sectors?
So I mean, lately you will see since last, especially after COVID, where people genuinely believe that technology is there to help them rather than replace them. So the moment people start understanding that it is for them, not against them, they start adopting to it more. Like Sir was also mentioning, one of the biggest challenges that people are a bit hesitant. They do not end up, using it. So our intention has always been to guide them, be with them, to ensure that they are able to find the use case of it. The moment people use it and they find it useful, then there's no going back. They understand the value of it. They understand that, okay, this is the way it is going to benefit me, and then they adopt it. But the initial hassle is to ensure that they are trying it out, getting the results, and then, then everything falls into places. So this has been the journey.
So you run any kind of, what initiative or what incentive do you offer to a law firm, other than, of course, the solution itself, but how to get that buy-in?
So one of the things that we started doing was, Koval was also mentioning, that rather than implementing everything together in the entire firm, it is important to find a group of people who are pro-technology, who understand that, okay, this is good for me. And when they start using it, and when everyone talks that, okay, I was able to save this much amount of time, or I was able to benefit using this technology, then other people also get, at least curious that, okay, let me try it out as well. So rather than them staying away from it, they have that anticipation that, okay, if I use it, I might be able to benefit. So then the change becomes easier. If you're forcing it on everyone without any proof of concept, then it is just them, staying away that, why do I do it? Because for lawyers, they have 10 tasks already in hand. Right. This is the 11th task. So no one is going to spend time on this 11th task because things are working the way they are. So someone needs to tell them that, okay, this has worked for me, I was able to save time, or they are able to get a significant benefit, then everyone falls into the picture.
So precedence plays into the game.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll like to have a word with Madhu sir here. So, yeah. Sir, you have done all the roles. So, right from designing a software for compliance to selling it out, and now actively involved in the compliance from different angles. What has been your experience with regards to resistance, and how the current scenario, especially from compliance perspective, is making it all the more necessary for legal tech to be adopted?
Yeah, so as all of them pointed out, the important aspect is to face the implementation and kind of structure the implementation. One of us, you need to communicate correctly, get everybody involved, and then keep the communication going, and bring in early successes quickly, right? as every one of them said, you need to be able to go say, hey, we have done this, this has benefited this way, this is how they saved time, this is how they saved cost, this is how they earned this thing, right? So that is very important. So from a compliance perspective, it is very, very critical today because whether you are helping a client of yours to comply, whichever be the area of law, be it labor law, be it financial regulations and all of that, the size of the organizations are getting bigger, the number of transactions are getting bigger, and therefore ability to do them manually is absolutely is not, it's becoming impossible, right? Therefore it is coming to a situation where without tech something, these things cannot be done, particularly if you look at compliance. Take my area of expertise, which is labor law. If even if you're a company with one office or one factory, the number of things that you need to ensure are complied under the Factories Act, different regulations, etc. And you leave without tech, it's becoming difficult. And you need to be very mindful on the other side, the regulator, the government, they are becoming tech enabling themselves, right? When they are saying ease of doing business, but even for them it is becoming difficult to ensure compliance, governance without tech. So they are also changing. So it is becoming very imperative that all of us need to be very quickly adapting to tech. And I know there is a different panel talking about it. We are getting into a different age, which is AI. And there the government, I think, is moving faster. So you need to be quickly tech enabling yourself, particularly in compliance. Otherwise, things will, and you as a lawyer, and you even if you're inside a corporate as a legal officer of the company or an entity, unless otherwise you tech enable, you will not be able to match up with the number of tasks that needs to be performed in a business today, and then ensuring those tasks are performed in a compliant way and also meet the expectations of the regulators on the other side.
So that means that the skills that are required from the lawyers that are going to come tomorrow, they're going to be more techno-legal in and it's going to be necessity rather than just a flavor.
Absolutely. And it is no longer, I think, I don't know how many of your students here and who are looking to attend interviews, it's no longer about whether you know Word, whether you know Excel, whether you know PPT and all of that. That's not tech anymore. And that's our given, right? And being aware of technology and in how it will impact your area of work, legal, that's what we are discussing, is very, very critical for those who are practicing today and also those who are coming into the legal fold in future.
That's a very important and crucial point. I'll ask Ravi sir about this. So you have experience of working with global firms as well. So when global firms approach a law house today or a law firm today, what kind of skills and what kind of services are they looking for in terms of data privacy, in terms of the legal stack, the technology stack that they want you to onboard yourself onto, and how much of it is being asked to be done rather than an option that okay, it'll be good if you do it.
See, today, apart from the fact that we are intermediaries from the SEBI perspective, and we need to protect our data which we carry, especially if you are involved in any listed entity transactions. Having said that, but when you work with foreign clients and you're involved in a transaction, there will be a data room. There will be a set of documents which you would be sharing. And those, the client would want to ensure that they are fully compliant with global standards of data privacy and security. They are not only obliged to ensure that GDPR or other regulations when you're exchanging data, but also to ensure that the data they would be getting, if they're an acquirer, that data would not be compromised or would be available as a public data. So from those reasons, they would often prescribe standards or the platform which we need to follow. A lot of the Indian firms on a regular basis, they don't do that, but at least to the extent of those transactional matters, either the foreign firm would provide or they would oblige you to have those in place to use those data security or data privacy norms to be followed at your firm. Like I was discussing earlier, and they said like the lot of the data which is there today, the firms haven't implemented security measures in their own systems, which is absolutely a must. And you would find client data available easily being shared amongst friends in the legal fraternity associates. Like, you know, do you have precedent of this one? And without redacting anything, that precedent would be shared, wherein all of those things, all of the data could go, and like, you know, that could be seriously hurt one's business. So I think those are absolutely a must, and the only reason I feel that this is not being implemented rapidly is nobody has been sued so far for that breach. The day that happens, the lawyers would immediately start getting their act together.
So it's like we are waiting for the reaction to happen rather than taking the action to make sure that reaction doesn't come.
And there are examples of between law firms, like, you know, where a set of partner leaves and he's carried with him or her the entire set of data, the client information, the client cards and the data records of the clients. And that has really hurt that business. And their judgment of Delhi High Court, like, you know, reflecting that. But despite that, still a lot of law firms don't, like, you know, think or act upon that.
So preservation of knowledge as an institution is something which is the need of the hour.
Absolutely. Both from a client perspective as well for your own, like, you know, posterity perspective, you need to preserve that data is not like vulnerable to breach.
So Komal, how do we do that at CAM? I mean, how knowledge management is done at CAM?
So again, you start with the right technology, and then you start with, bringing in that habit, culture, practice of preserving knowledge. So there has to be a good technology which is where you can store all the data safely, securely, and people have to be in the habit of filing everything there. So it is training and use of technology both. So, and then it has to be implemented. So which means that if people, you see, if you give them a choice and you say there is your laptop's hard drive as well as, say for example, XYZ repository technology, you can choose one of them, because I can either save it on my laptop or I have to go and save it in the firm's selected technology. I find it easier to save it on my laptop. But if I cannot save more than, say, 100 MB on my laptop, if that option is only not there, what will I do? I cannot do anything but go to the repository and save it. Now, just saving it as saving all your knowledge or saving all your matter-related information on that technology is not enough in today's times. So while it was your electronic cabinet, cupboard, file holder, whatever you want to call it, 5 or 10 years ago, today that has become your wealth of knowledge. Because now it's no longer Komal Gupta's section where I've put in my matter information. Now I can search through my entire firm's knowledge. Today technology has enabled so many features within that repository that if I want to go and see my own work, I can ask questions. Say, for example, there is a new matter that comes to me. I'm being asked to give an opinion on something. I remember some 10 years ago, I had done something similar. Laws have not changed, and I want to go refer to that work of mine. I can't remember what it was. Maybe I was not the leading partner. There were 4 other people. And I just want to go and see what it was. Now, because I can't remember which folder, which matter, what matter number, I could just type in a query with exactly what I was looking for. And if I have done that work, then it goes through Komal's all files and folders and gives it up to you. And then I can further ask questions. That's one option where I just go and find relevant information from my own work. And then there is the other one where the entire firm's work is accessible through an interrogation or a Q&A platform, where I can find out This query is a new one for me, but I'm sure in a firm of 1,000 lawyers, somebody would have done it at some point in time. Now, instead of shooting out a mail to the so busy lawyers who will probably not even read it, I can just quickly go search through my database and find out who's done it. And then I can take it offline and call that lawyer. So it's a sum of technology, culture, practice, and repeating. Like I said in the first question, you have to keep just reiterating the same thing, and you have to show why is it. It's not a dictatorial thing that, what, I felt like implementing a technology, so I'm saying that everybody has to use it. I have to go and show the benefits of filing, your files and folders, your work digitally. What happens after
so
that?
So it's like the technology is now acting as a glue between different people, and also at the same time started to becoming an historian, which can at your beck and call actually 24/7 provide the information to you and become a seamless provider of information between you and your clients as well.
Absolutely.
Which increases the trust in the information.
Absolutely. As an individual lawyer, I benefit from, I don't need to struggle, don't need to give pain to my brain.
Right.
I can just go and find things easily. Second, I can find what the firm has done, so I learn from that. I'm not always going to know what the 1,000 lawyers are doing in the firm, so I can find out that. Third, from the firm's perspective, if I leave, the firm still retains all my knowledge.
Right.
It doesn't just go away with me. So even the firm needs to retain the knowledge.
True.
So it serves all purposes. Everyone's in a win-win.
That's a very, very valid point, at least from the posterity perspective, that the knowledge remains for a longer period than an individual's contribution. Tushar, in this space, how firms can help a law firm to make a choice of a software?
Sorry, can you?
So what I mean is that from a legal tech company's perspective, when you are reaching out to a law firm, and you have a portfolio of solutions available, right? So how do you assess the need? Can you just share some light on that?
One of the most important part is like knowing what the problem statement is.
Okay.
So just directly pushing a software does not solve the purpose. It makes more sense to understand what their problem statement is, to clearly demarcate this is what the problem, like this is how we will be tackling the problem, this is what is doable, this is what is not doable. So when someone is using it or when someone is trying to use it, they are not focusing on things that we have already told them that, okay, this is something that will not be done. So when you tell them that, okay, this is how you're going to benefit out of it, these are the things that will be done, then for them to adopt to it or to make best of it becomes easier. Along with that, having constant support is super critical. So with your champions, if you leave them to figure out things on their own, sometimes it does not work because of the time constraint, because of the things that they already have to work on. Right. So having a dedicated support whenever they are struggling with or whatever challenges that they're facing, to be able to identify and to either do the hand holding or to fix it at your end becomes super critical. And once people are comfortable, then it becomes very easy for everyone to adopt or like to make the benefit out of the technology.
Yeah, and keeping that in mind, what is it that you look for when you're looking at champions?
First, they should be pro-tech. So that is the most important part. Yeah. Second is, because changing is very difficult, we all are comfortable in the way things are doing, especially legacy lawyers, who are used to doing things for a decade, 2 decades, they're accustomed to doing things in a particular manner. To be able to tell them why this is better, sometimes it takes a lot of efforts. So till the time they are not willing to change or till the time they are not understanding why they need to change, it is very difficult. So not just like protect people, but having that willingness to change becomes super critical to find someone who will push your product out.
So here I have a question for people who are managing human resources at law firms. So do you see a need for a newer sort of role in the law firm, which is not just law or just tech or an admin? It's like you need somebody who understands the language of law, but at the same time is well understanding also how the technology is going to be adapted at your place.
So you'll find this change happening, although in India it's happening at a slow pace, but any of the international law firms you see, they'll all have innovation teams, knowledge teams. You would hear of innovation lawyers, knowledge lawyers, who are actually not doing, we are not practicing every day. But we are qualified lawyers, so the qualification remains the same of all the people in the room. But we bring in the skills of technology, we bring in the skills of innovation, or a knowledge lawyer will know what are the, you see, you are working with thousands of documents, but all 1,000 are not important for me to file in my knowledge repository, for me to, build that gold mine of knowledge for my firm. So a knowledge lawyer will be able to qualify those documents. A knowledge lawyer sitting within the practice will be able to tell, this is important for this practice, and therefore this should go into my knowledge data set. An innovation lawyer will be able to, decide that when I'm taking, interviews, discovery interviews with my associates, I can understand where the pain point is. I will be able to identify whether I can provide a solution through technology, or through maybe just some new resources, or it's just a process improvement use case. So therefore, the skills that are required now, there are two things. One, so it is definitely calling for a cross-functional team. There is a huge need identified, and also it is already being implemented, that there is practicing lawyers, and there are these additional lawyers who bring in additional skills and look after knowledge, learning, development, innovation. But also the current lawyers, they cannot just be subject matter experts. They will need to, so somebody else is not going to move the technology for you. Somebody else is not going to, do the technology part for you and you do your other. You'll have to sit on your own machine and do it. And that gives you independence, and that makes you more efficient, better. So that's a skill that you need to develop if you don't already have it. And for the younger lawyers who are sitting here, or law students who are sitting here, I would say don't go into an interview without having developed some skills, knowledge of some technologies. Because if you want to stand out amongst the 100 applicants, you are going to be more than just a qualified lawyer.
And Word, Excel, and PowerPoint won't cut it.
Well, that's a requirement, but that's no longer a thing that, this is what I bring. This is an understood thing that you have to have.
Got it.
Today, and let me tell you, when I say this to the law students today, that, go with some study of legal tech or some experience in some legal, so maybe you intern with a Mike Legal, or, do some little work so you know what use cases lawyers have and how you can use technology. Perhaps 5 years down the line, even that will not be a special skill. Right. It will be a given, just like a Microsoft Office,
True. Yeah. Technology is one of the most fastest evolving beasts.
Absolutely. Anyway. 2 years ago, who knew about OpenAI?
Yeah.
And 2 years later, who knew about agents?
True. Yeah. So I'll change the subject a bit, because this is something which is close to my heart. So, sir, from enterprise risk perspective, where we have policy making and then compliance, which falls in line with policy making, how is technology shaping both these narratives?
You're asking in the sense that within a corporate...
Within a corporate perspective. So when a corporate looks at what is the risk it's going to face when it enters into a particular... let's just say it's entering into a real estate, for example.
Right.
So you have policy framework around it, and then you have compliance, which is a subset of that policy framework. So how is the technology shaping this narrative?
I think... for example, if somebody is getting into a new business and they want to understand what's the risks involved and how do they go about managing those risks, setting up a compliance framework, I don't think today you have a choice but to start with technology and how technology is going to play. So you're going to look at some of the basic stuff. In that, you gave an example of real estate. In real estate today, you have an act, and then there are separate state-wise this thing, and where we are entering. First thing that you're looking for is there a technology available today in that field, right? And to that extent, in getting into a new business, in setting up a new policy, or even looking at the current policies that you have, technology is going to be the basis, because you need to understand, first of all, there are multiple legislations, multiple data points at which you need to know, multiple legalities that you need to be aware of. And if there is a tech product already built in that space, then that helps you. And if it is already used and certified by somebody, then you are clear that you are getting into something and you can be confident that you will be compliant. Let's say, for example, from a risk mitigation perspective. So, for the practitioners in such a field, or for the practitioners who are advising, let's say, a corporate which is wanting to get into a new field, awareness about all, not only the law, but is there a tech product that you can suggest to the client saying that, boss, look into this, probably this works, or I have heard or I have seen with another client that is working. To that extent, ability to understand what is technology available and whether it will work from a perspective of setting a policy, revising a policy, and then governing that policy for you.
That is, so as even countries are evolving and practices are evolving. So from different perspectives, either it's be in-house or law firm or legal tech company, they're all working under the ambit that ultimately the services that are being provided are cohesive. You don't have silos where law firm is saying something and then in-house legal is just not aware of how that particular recommendation is going to pan out in business. You need to have a business understanding also of that particular opinion. And then the solution that is being chosen is the one which supports all of this, so that at the end of the day, whether it's one firm or the second firm or one business or another business, all of them are probably using similar services. So that move from one to another is pretty much a matter of who's doing good. So in this, I just want to wrap up this panel discussion from this note that as an industry as a whole, and I'm using the word industry because I'm referring to the work that goes in, not the impact only of the industry. So as a legal service as a whole, what do you see as the future of technology today?
I think technology, let's admit it's going to be all pervasive, right? And without technology, I don't think we can function today. So it's not going to be different for legal, whatever be the aspect that you're talking about, right? One, as a law firm, advising, and like as you rightly said, to kill the silos between different, because you go to a client may be looking at multiple things. So if you have silos within your own this thing, then you don't understand what the client wants, and probably you are missing out on opportunity. So from that perspective, technology is the biggest breaker of silos. Right. So it's going to be critical. And when it comes to compliance, as I already talked about, there are products for different types of compliance that you want your client to be this thing, or if you're within the corporate, then you need to be aware in your area of companies, areas of business, to ensure that business is compliant. Are there technical products available, or is there something that you can build, is also a question that you need to be aware of. And what kind of technical platform that on which you're going to build. So from every aspect you're looking at, tech is going to be very critical.
Ravi sir, your thoughts on this?
See, tech and law would become an integral part. The way the businesses are becoming humongous and the complexities which have been brought in, that you're not only dealing with one jurisdiction, you're dealing with multiple jurisdictions, you're dealing with multiple issues simultaneously. I think tech would be a very important part of the law profession, whether you are servicing clients or whether it's the in-house counsels who are looking at obtaining services from different professionals, specialists in their areas. And again, dealing with multiple jurisdictions within the same country, in different states, or with different laws, whether it's like competition law, whether it's contractual or arbitration. So tech would be a very important platform and very integral part of the legal services. And it is something like communication, where you don't speak about communication separately. But similarly, technology would be also a very important part of the legal services, both receiving services as well as delivering those services.
Right. I would just try to end this panel on a note that probably tech is going to be the difference between those who are future ready and those who are not in the future. So thank you very much for all the panelists for joining me here. And I hope you've had a good time. And if the world tomorrow looks up to us today and say that it was there a talk about tech, we definitely had one. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.